starten auch nochmal Happy New Year to the YouTube folks. Yeah, you're all so happy. It sounded like very happy because everybody was laughing and joking around. I hope we can keep that as long as possible for the year. Probably in the end of the year we feel tired and disappointed. Keep this atmosphere as long as possible. Onegaishimasu. Hey, Shomunuchi. So, ikkyo. Shomunuchi ikkyo. Okay. Okay, that's a reminder, of course. A reminder for what we have studied last year. Why did he lose the balance? Why did Kuzushi appear? Was it anything with my arms? But what was it? Of course, that's a rhetorical question. You have the answer already. So you apply all your understanding how to take the partner's balance by activating your ankles, your knees, your hip joints, so that legs are always flexible to move everywhere. Then you expand your center by taking down the diaphragm and activating also the surrounding muscles. So actually by that all the rib cage comes down. It already affects the arms to lower. Now if you relax completely the arms and your shoulder blades drift around the rib cage and downwards, they tend to drop low. Instead of stabilize upper body, this comes down and feels really relaxed. That was the effect you know already. That's why it was rhetorical. How to balance the partner. If you would just let go, take away your hands suddenly. This was very slow, okay, yeah. Even more sudden. My arms drop. It's not pushing and by pushing losing my balance. Of course, you know. So where's the change in this technique what we practice today, Shomenuchi? Of course, there's a change in our stance, hand, and how to reach out. It's not like in this preparation. It's this thing. But where's a change how I use my body? Of course, there's none. Of course, it's your legs ready to move. But they don't move yet. They're just ready to move. It's your center to expand. And relax your arms and drop. It's nothing to push, stop, prevent attack or something. Of course, that's a difficult thing with the Shomenuchi because the time window to reach out and make connection to the partner is quite small. It's not like in this practice where we start like, okay, we have a lot of time here to study. Now it's just in the one moment of striking, of the opponent's strike. But it's exactly in this moment where you apply your body in this kind of function as described. So maybe it's good to reflect before and remember and prepare everything. So your legs prepared, your centers prepared, your arms are soft. And then if he reaches out, of course, I reach out to him too. And you know, because of the Hanmi position, the direction of kuzushi, of the off-balancing, must be as same as here in this direction. But because we're standing like this, it's of course there. And you can even play around with the first connection because you have two sides, two directions. You could immediately apply kuzushi to the front, but you could also apply kuzushi to the back before you change. So Alphonse feels something like this. There's no limit, no limitation of your tries. So you find out yourself. Remember, sometimes I saw Matti, also for some times Ariya-san Lewis does the same. So there's a kind of a feeling as if you would take the partner's balance to this side first before you drop. As if you would pull something into, but it's not a pull-in. It's something like a redirection. Or more classic way, as Endo Sensei shows, by connecting from outside with your palms, you immediately center to the side. Okay? Try a little bit more ikkyo. Okay. Yeah. Okay, check this, please. Let me ask or do some more. Now, there's two more ideas. Two more ideas for this technique. First of all, of course, Shomen-uchi requires a good feeling for timing. I already said the time window to respond to the sudden attack is more difficult to find than katate dori or the forms where you be grasped, because you can start from actually just located point. Nothing would move suddenly towards you. Now, but if you would think about this position, I just come in front of the camera. So I must apologize first. Maybe it feels awkward, but if you take connection here, you don't do this. Okay? You just come and take then connection. All right? So it's not necessary, if you know the point where the hands are, what you can observe, to do some extra effort or strength or speed to find this point. Okay, one more time. If we would prepare that, nobody tries to catch quickly, because we just put our hands there, and then we can study what we already explained. Now for Shomen-uchi, of course, we need to know the point where to reach to and when. But it should not be any different in terms of how much effort I need to put into the connection. I don't need to hurry. I just need to be in time. So if you attack, and if I would then do something like this, it would stress Uke and myself. So it's more like being in the right moment at the right place. But you don't need to accelerate speed or going with more strength. Then this one idea. Second is, if we are talking about ikkyo, sometimes we use also the names what describe what's happening. You know, or the pinning techniques, the katame waza. They have these names of not only counting ikkyo, nikyo, sankyo, yonkyo, and so on. They also have describing names. And ikkyo has the name ure-osai. So this is an arm hold in translation. But if you would think about your arm, if you would describe an arm, and you would make a picture of an arm, you would always show an arm like in this form. Even children, if they picture a human being. Of course, the arms are like this, like also in the symbols in our traffic signs or whatever. They would never make an arm like this. Or very rare, I'm not sure, maybe artists would say something differently, but it's very rare to see if children start to picture human bodies or what, that they would give them certain position. But just arm like this. Now this could be a good idea to follow through in your technique. If you find yourself using your arms like this, they definitely have a different, status or use than this, okay? That's obvious. So if we are discussing a moment where we can drop our arms and the arms fall to a position where they are naturally extended and down, this would be a completely different picture, right? Especially in Urawaza. Sometimes I see you like this. I'm not sure about the camera angle, maybe here. Feel yourself. Can you remember yourself doing something like this sometimes? I saw a few. But this would be a position, what's more natural. So somehow you have to adjust your body movement, your step work, your distance to the partner, so your arm can do this instead of going kind of creepy way. Okay? So again, also related to the timing and to the effort you put in the movement of your arms, it would be interesting to see when and how to turn to keep this kind of feeling, what we already explained, instead of doing something different. Okay, sometimes we need to adjust, but if we recognize what's going on, if we are, for instance, too close, okay, we have to put ourselves to the right distance, to the right place, before we continue the form. Because otherwise, maybe we stop the effect, what we have prepared. If I would change my position and try to effect kuzushi, it's not working. So I have to relax and come back to what we know. The same in your technique. If you find yourself in a position because of the timing or the distance or the place or whatever you go through, what's not according to our understanding of relaxed arms, check it. Maybe you need to change. Okay? Try again. Hi. Good. Change a little bit technique. So, 両手通り転しながら。Okay. That's okay. So, I see sometimes we have the problem that if we are inviting Uke to step forward and come up, we feel like a lot of load on the upper arm, right? So sometimes this happens and he comes in and then it's very difficult to move, right? Okay. I'm not always able to have an easy solution in this case. But of course, we know several mechanics, basic mechanics, to influence the partner's balance. If we are making this happen, it's our influence to the partner. So it's like bringing him towards me, and he comes forward and leans on. Now, you know, there is, from this basic idea, the basic routines, what we practice with Endo-sensei, several things to do. For instance, for katate dori, we could take balance by this kind of movement, or by this kind of movement from center behind this, or we take balance up there, right, or towards the partner, extend, or the whole thing outside. Okay. Now, this quality of understanding and influencing the kuzushi, or the balance of the partner, applies to this situation. So if you think about how to make him collapse, of course, I bring him to the, let's say, support limit of his stance, but not by pulling him towards me so that he can just step in and bring all his weight on this point. By fine adjusting his shoulder and his grasp, he cannot put weight. If he tries to put weight on this, I can further extend this direction. So he always feels like weak. And that's depending on timing, of course, as well as a clear idea for the direction. And then on top, this is not the only tool, the one side. You also have a second side. So if you feel something becomes, or something is getting difficult and heavy here, why not changing this situation by influencing on the other hand? Or why not changing your position to influence the situation? So often we just oversee that we have a lot of opportunities to deal with a certain situation. If something occurs what we are not ready or not easy to take care of, then maybe we have to stop and observe what's going on. And it's not a problem that it happens, it's just the question of how to solve the situation. So what's the solution? Would it be like forcefully riding over the opponent's reaction and try to bring him down? Doesn't matter of which course. So recognizing this is a chance to study. Now, for instance, if it happens to you that your partner comes strongly forward and you feel this is so heavy, okay, what does it change if you take different height? What does it change if you take distance? What does it change if you drop and recreate your arm activity? Don't stick to one idea of a form, because why not to change? There's no reason. Of course, if we would practice kata no keiko, so form-based training, we would say like, yeah, you have to do some step work. But I didn't say anything about that. You're all experienced enough to know Tenshin-naga from Ryōto Dori. And you need to find, or we, each of us need to find out our style and our abilities. Now, of course, it's up to you. Check. Well, this is already interesting because he invites me to come forward. Maybe it changes. Maybe this time not. Okay, so I need to take him towards me. And this was only the action of my upper arm. Now, it could be that I take first the lower hand, guiding him into a changing position, into an off-balance position. Or the distance, or the direct line, or the hands and line all together. You have endless opportunities of combination. If you find yourself in a situation where it becomes difficult, then just recognize and check, do you stick in a form, in an idea of a form, or can you use this moment to apply your deeper research for the function of influencing the partner? It's okay, if you change the form, doesn't matter, because it's now not one step or one single way to practice Tenshin-naga. Okay? Try again. Hint in this case. So the kokyu for kokyu naga. Alphonse, onegaishimasu. Alphonse. For sure, you understand that if I would try this, he's in a great advantage over me because his both hands are on my arm, and even if I can pull a little bit, yeah, he would just let go. It's now I can do something even more and prepare. But it's not arm, of course. By the arm, your activity of your whole body is transmitted to the partner. But if I would try to use my arm, it's difficult. Sometimes it feels like if I extend to a certain direction as if I would stretch out my arm, because then it has some kind of structure. You feel this. But it's not stiffening the own arm. It's just directing. Still, the shoulder or the arm is potentially completely free. But that's why I can continue, because Uke is already caught. Basically because his feet are not free to move as he wants or wish like, because they are, let's say, nailed or stick to the place. That's why if I overextend his stance, he will collapse or need to take Uke. So of course, in this kind of practice, you need to find out how to use your body center of body to keep him there. Now he cannot just stop. If he tries to step, he cannot just step. He's actually fixed. So if I change my position, he will be taken over the limits of his stance. Now, especially with Alphonse, if I would try to push or pull or whatever, it doesn't follow. Or even if you keep grasping, what would I create by pulling by my arm? It's impossible. So actually it's the opposite. You give everything, so the partner is locked, then you change position and your arm comes swinging by your body movement to accelerate his off balance over the limits of his support. A little bit more, change partner. Hai, swado waza, tsagi kokyo ho, dozo. Hai, yame. 終わります。 So, Happy New Year once again. Please have a good New Year. Stay healthy and be safe, especially people in Venezuela now. I hope your family is okay. Yeah. And thanks for all the birthday wishes. I didn't have any chance to give back personal answer so far, but I will. Now, yeah, let's get together more often in healthy, physical, well, yeah, I would say conditions. That's what I want to say. Okay. Arigatou gozaimashita. Hi.
Dritte.